is a trend recently on social media about Lapo and Nepo kids. Lapo and Nepo kids. And when it came out, I started thinking, I didn't have to think much to know where I belong. But then I started thinking that some Lapo of us are more Lapo than other Lapos. And for people who may not be on social media, I will not try to explain. But I will when we were growing up, I was fortunate. And I'll tell you why I'm using the word fortunate. Because I actually thought deeply about it to a point where I started thanking God that I'm as Lapo as I've ever been. I've been growing up. I was fortunate to be born to parents who were both illiterate. My dad, my mom never went to school. Actually, my dad had some education. When Awolowo did free education in those days, my dad attended a few classes, and so we heard he could read and write. But by the time I was born, my dad already lost his sight. He could see, but not so clearly. So I actually never saw my dad read or write. Now, my mom, on the other hand, never attended a school. My mom never went for one class. Just go to school and sit down to learn anything. However, my mom did Omodo with some people in Ife some years back. And she said that when she takes their children to school and they are in the class, she will wait at maybe the other room and she listened in. And by listening in, she could understand the alphabet. My mom taught herself to read Yoruba. However, by the time I was born too, my mom was already losing some of her sight. So she could see, but not so clearly. So when I started reading, one thing I noticed is, anytime my mom writes, when you're in primary school, maybe when we were young, and they're teaching you to write, they teach you to write on those lines. They say it is important to write. There's this handwriting thing we used to do there, that you write A, basically teaching you to write on lines. I learned from early age that my mom never wrote on lines because her sights were so bad, but she needed to write some things down. And in her desire to keep those things down, she would write them so big, so large, that they don't stay on the line. Let us pray. Our Father in heaven, we are here to hear from you. We want to learn, we want to be inspired, we want to be empowered. And much more than anybody here, I need this, more even than them. So I pray, dear Lord, that you speak through me. That as much as you teach us all here, you teach me too. And we shall all learn from your feet. For I pray in Jesus' mighty name. You see, from historic age, the idea of Ranti Omeniti Onse has always been. Parents wanted their children to know their history, to know who they are. If this Lapo and Nepo thing had happened in our time, our parents would have wanted us to know. My own parents, maybe much more like some other parents, wanted us to know our identity. Where do you come from? Who are you? What are the things about you? So parents tell their children stories. Now I take it back to Ranti Omeniti Onse. I assume that in the days of Adam, in the days of Enoch, in the days of all those people, they try to tell their children, Ranti Omeniti Onse. So at night, they sit down, they start telling them stories because they don't want them to forget. And so with time, they realize that these children tend to forget. So let's use Ibadan people as an example. Ibadan people start forgetting that they come from Ibadan. So they start realizing that how can we ensure that Ibadan people do not forget that they are from Ibadan? So while telling stories and in Yoruba, I'm trying to bring it down. They started doing things like maybe the collar. They use identification mark. So that every time you go, everywhere you go, if you forget where you are from, if for some reason, for some reasons, you no longer remember that you are from Ibadan, your mark will tell you. Now, in more historic ages, people started writing on stones. They started crafting on the ground. They started making ignitions so that people that pass by will remember. Oh, there was a time, when they fight war, maybe like civil war, when they do all these things, they started keeping it in memories of generations to come. Why I'm trying to bring this background is that I'm trying to tell you, or for us to understand one thing, that the idea of sharing what we think, sharing what we know, passing information is not new. As a matter of fact, our ancestors from the historic age, they started these things. And so they started inscribing on stones, they started making marks. In those days, they make marks that it is only people of that time that remember. But now astrologers, people have found different marks on caves, on stones, to sometimes even be able to understand how those people lived. So what I'm saying is that those things that were written then, even though they were not in papers or in letters like we know them now, they still pass information. They still communicate to generations of now. Now, why am I going through all this? Is that these things started developing. You know, from that point where they started telling stories, like I said, it started from things like to more concrete things. And they started realizing that people forget, so they write it down on stones. They started making marks. And then some people started thinking that if we could talk like this, then we could make consonants, we could make vowels that sound just like the way we talk. So they started thinking of alphabets, that if we can just put this and this together, then it will sound the way we talk. So they started making alphabets together, and at some point, they started writing. You know, I want you to think of this as early, or as early, 14,000 AD is not up to 1,000 years ago. 14,000, that's 1,400, 1,400 AD. It's not up to 1,000 years ago. As at that time, people that read Bible, they enter one large room where all these letters are written, handwritten. They will go there, they will just pick one verse of it. Maybe today we just go there, read there, and say, this, because the Bible itself was so large. As at just less than 1,000 years ago, Bible was so big. So from that point till the point that I'm talking about, people were trying to ensure that they can write things down, to ensure that memories are written down. And what is God's predisposition to this? You see, God is eternal. And in his wisdom, he has... All right. So God is internal, and in his wisdom, he has always ensured that things are documented. I tried to note some places out, and we'll get to them. All right. So when God started giving visions, now let's talk about the children of Israel. When they were in Egypt, and prior to this point, there has been Abraham, there was the story of Adam, and all these stories. Some people tend to ask, how did Moses know those stories? Yeah, I don't know if you ask people, you say, who wrote the book of Genesis? He said Moses. He said, was it there? How did he know? But because God wants to document. Why I'm saying this is, as much as we like to share and ensure that people do not forget, even God himself, from the historic age, wanted to ensure that his messages are passed by. Now, let me tell you one thing we may not always know. Do you know that the children of Israel knew the 10 commandments even before it was written? Like, the idea of 10 commandments was not so new when Moses brought it from, I say, it's in the tablet of stone. No, no. Like I told you that people have been communicating from historic age. The children of Israel, they knew who they were. They knew the commandments that guides them. They knew that they cannot bow down to any graven image. Let me even tell you, they knew about the Sabbath. They knew that on the Sabbath day, God hallowed and blessed it and sanctified even before it was written down in Exodus. Because like I told you, from people like us who are parents who were not able to write, they ensure that they tell these stories as much as possible. But because humans tend to forget, this is why they begin to write these things down. So when Moses brought them on the tablet of stones, it was not that they were seeing it for the first time. However, we were committing it to more eternal memories. And if these things had not been written down there, perhaps even all of us here will not be here today. These things were written down so that in ages to come, when voices cannot travel as much as they used to, they will exist. And so, from that historic age, God himself ensured that records were kept. And so God inspired Moses and showed him all these things, told him all these things, ensured that they are written down so that generations like you and I will know this story. Why am I saying all this? I am just trying to make you understand that God, in the progress of time, as time moves on, as population of earth increases, as people become many, as from 10 to or from 1 to 2 to thousands to billions that we have today, the idea of passing messages was eternal. And God himself ensured that people were writing down. Now, this is what it brings us to. If God was to be inspiring people to write now, how do you think he will tell them to write? Do you think he will tell them to write on tablet of stones? Do you think God will use scrolls as they used to? Don't you think that God will tell you to bring out your phone and start typing? Don't you think God will say, type it on your Google Sheet and ensure that it is backed up online so that you don't ever forget? Don't you think that God will say that when you finish typing that thing, share it on your WhatsApp group, share it to your church members, share it so that people will know? I'm trying to just create a background where you understand that the idea of sharing messages, the idea of keeping these things, committing them to eternal memory is not new. And like they always say, nothing is new under the earth. Even these things are not new. However, technology has been changing. So in about 1400 AD, a German guy, he to start thinking that, this thing we are just writing, right? Is there no better way? They said the guy is a technology person. He actually was doing wine pressing. I mean, I've never seen how they press wine before. But he realized that the ink of that wine may be able to make some inscriptions on paper. So he made a technology that can use that ink of the wine to make inscriptions on the paper, and then he started, writing things down. And people say that before him, there had been ideas of writing, of printing. Let me not use writing here. The idea of printing had existed in some other civilizations. It's even believed that paper came from China. Chinese people started producing paper maybe as far back as maybe 200, 300 AD. However, the Western world, that's where we're going. The Western people, they understand documentation much more than almost any other culture. And so they always ensure they document their own history. So when you think about who started printing, we can only think about the German Gutenberg guy who started from the wine pressing machine to make something printable on paper. So this guy revolutionized printing. And he was the first person that made the Bible to be something that is printable, something that people can carry. And when we started learning about Adventist church apostasy and Catholic church and all that when I was younger, they will always say that the priests will just read the Bible to the people, that people did not have access to the Bible. And you keep wondering, why are they not curious? And why didn't they just try to go and look for the Bible? But they could not have, because there were not many print of it in existence. People that owned Bible in their house, now rich people, very wealthy people in Europe, they will contract people. They will say, come to my, then someone will come and start writing from Genesis to Revelation. Then they will keep it in one large room, because that was how Bible could be transcribed. But this German guy revolutionized it. And the interesting part is that after he did that, he started drinking. He lost everything at some point. As a matter of fact, he almost died poor. Why I'm trying to put this to you is that sometimes some of the technologies that exist, that even God himself used to glorify himself, that he will use for his glory, may not be made by believers. And as time has proven, let's come back to even writing itself. Writing was believed to have started from Egypt. Egypt actually were the first civilization as far as history was recorded. They started trying different things. They started finding a way to make things happen. And the Egyptians started, maybe that is why Moses was the one that wrote those books, because he grew up amongst them. Moses was in the palace. He grew up amongst, so he learned all these things. He knew them by heart. Perhaps even as at this time he was writing down, the children of Israel, the rest of them could not write because they were slaves there. Maybe they didn't learn writing. So Moses could write. He grew with them. He knew how to write. And God used that and told him, ensure that these things are written down. As you move through all these things, as you pass through this level, ensure that it is written down. And in doing this, God himself wrote on the tablet of stone. Now, today is Empowerment Sabbath. And I am supposed to be here to empower. And when it came to me, I started thinking that much more than people who are here, that I should probably empower. Even me, I need empowering more. So, unlike every other time that somebody has come here to probably empower, you should see me today as someone who is also being empowered. As I am probably empowering you, you are empowering me also. Now, in recent time, when I was younger, like I said about my mom, the struggles of my mother probably shaped me into something. As early as I was young, I kept wondering, why does my mom write like this? You just start wondering, you just come, you see records of the thing. The way my mom used to write is very funny. But like I said, she didn't go to school. So it's not like I was young, maybe I was like 10, 11 or so. I could write a lot better. So you see, my mom would want to write A and first draw the large A like this and draw the second one like this. But why was my mom writing down? What was she writing exactly? As young as we were selling fufu. I don't know if I've mentioned it before. We used to sell fufu in Ipoti back then. And as far back as when I was in secondary school, I used to hawk fufu. When you see these children hawking fufu around, it's probably, I've seen them before and I started wondering that, oh, interesting. I didn't even hawk fufu in Ibadan. I didn't hawk it in Lagos or Ife. I hawk fufu in the Ekiti. So I'm trying to say that, you know, if you are hawking and you're selling fufu in Ibadan, if you had come to Ipochi and tell us that, you used to hawk, but you are doing it in Ibadan, oh wow, me self, I would like to come to Ibadan to hawk fufu. Because back then, when you see people come from this place, it's so interesting. Wow, you are in Ibadan. We didn't know anywhere. You know, we grew up in Ibadan. We didn't know anywhere. As far, maybe when I was 13, 14, 15, even 16, 17, we don't know Ado Ekiti. You know, Ado is the capital of Ado was a city to us. Ado to me then is maybe the way some of us who have not traveled out to see New York, we see it was on that level. You just, when people say they go to Ado, when they say they go to Ado and they come back, you know, in Ipoti, there's a way people used to do it. They start speaking Yoruba. You know, we didn't grow up speaking normal Yoruba like we speak. We spoke Ipoti, we spoke our dialect. Yorao, Ashintide, by Chodo Lanini. You know, this is what we learn. That's what we're going to say. Molo Ado Lano. Atubani Koti Moredu. What is on Yibo Koko? You know, it was even funny that these Yorubas they spoke were Oyibo to us. I'm trying to tell you how much we were not able to speak in English. So back to my mother. My mother was a fufu seller. And because we sell fufu, we go and buy cassava from people. We go to their farms, we buy cassava. When we buy this cassava, they are not there. And I think I learned some of these things from my mom. You know, my mom was so diligent. She ensured that every time we pack the cassava roots, that root is what we used to count how many cassava did you buy. They are not there. You know the root of cassava, you pull it out. And when you took that root, we now put it in one place. We count. You used to count it to 200. My mom will count 200 there, 200. So when you get there, you see 200, 200. Oh, you get Igba Mefa Latira. So that Igba is what they will calculate. I think at some point it was maybe 150 or 200 naira for the Igba. So in Ipoti, people tend to not be faithful with that calculation. So aside us, there are other people that do similar things. But you know, when they come, they will count maybe Igba here. They'll just throw some of those roots away. Or they'll just say, then they'll start fighting. Now, my mom in ensuring that she delivers what we are doing. That she has records of, okay, when I bought from this person, I bought Igba 200. I bought Igba 300. My mom, like I told you, did not go to school. But she kept records of those things. My mom will write Igba 200 from daddy this thing. Write Igba this thing. And for people who owe us, you know, people will come and pay. Funny things, as little as it was, then people will still owe us. Some people will collect food, they will not pay. Some people will buy this one, they will not pay. So, my mom will keep record of those people that are owing us. The interesting thing is that my mom never owed. It's funny. So, she did keep record of owing. But because even when she passed away, people came that said, we're owing. My mom did not have record of owing anybody. We grew up like that, funny enough. So, my mom will keep those records. And as I was saying, when I was young, I kept on wondering, I mean, how difficult this is for such a mother to keep. So maybe that is why. You know, when I was small, I actually didn't really like writing much. I was one of those people that went to secondary school and never had complete notes. Went to university and can hardly even find their notes. Because you see that process of that is just always. So as I kept growing up, I kept thinking, what are the easier and faster ways to do this? Now, let's leave it there. Businesses here, people who have businesses here, I give it to you that I don't know how many people are having businesses here, or you do one side or most of us here who have customers do not know how many customers we have. If you have a business here and you know, I can ask you, how many customers do you have? And you can answer, let me see your hand up. You know that from my business, so I have so number of customers. Let me see your hand up. Nobody. Okay. Do you know how much, exactly how much you have made this year? This is January, February, just this year alone. Do you know exactly how much from your business you have made this year? Your hand up, nobody. What business? Okay. Do you know who are owing you? Exactly how much they are owing you and who those people are that owing you? Ma? You know people that are owing you. Okay, thank you. Any other person? Thank you. Oh, yeah, all right. But knowing these things, is it because you wrote it down because you keep it in your mind? It's in your head. Now, what happened? Now, something happened recently. My neighbor lost his dad. His dad was an architect. And so he's actually young. I didn't think he was that young, but then when he died, he was about 65. He was an architect. He had papers of people's houses with him, who he was maybe helping them to buy land or building for them. Now, when the man died, they actually realized that there was no record of who his people that gave him work are, who are the people owing him, because he almost, they said on Friday he went for a program in their church. He went for a program on Friday, and from the program he complained that he was having stomach pain. So when he was having, they thought it was a small thing, so they took him to hospital. They said, okay, take care of yourself. But I think maybe like on Sunday, maybe he too started feeling funny, so he called them. He actually tried to explain, like I said about human tendency, to pass on, to let them know that this is what was going on. So he explained some of these things to his children. He says, this person's certificate is on that roof. This person's paper is in this place. In case anything happens, I don't know if anything happens. So I have this land in Magodo. I have this thing there. So he explained as much as he could to his children. And the funny thing is that he died the following day. But even though he explained those things, now there are people who have papers with him. There are people who have their land paper with him. There are people who he just maybe purchased land for right now, and they are unable to sort it. Why are they unable to sort it? Because there is no record. This takes me back to my mom, like I said. My mom never went to school. If she was, maybe some of us here, it's a convenience reason not to write things down. I don't even know what is more convenient than the fact that you cannot read or write. So my mom naturally cannot read or write. But she, like I said, she was taking, and she learned. It was not even very good handwriting. Writings that you will struggle to read. But as much as she could remember, she kept them. So my mom died. We had records of people that were owing my mom. We saw them, although we didn't go to be asking them, but we saw them that this person was owing this one 200 naira, was owing 150, 500. It was there. Now, why we're saying this is this empowerment Sabbath. There's something about Africa, and we all know it. We complain a lot. We say, Nigeria is so bad. Nigeria is a terrible place. Nigeria is this and that. And do you know one of the reasons why Nigeria is so bad? It's because of record keeping. I will tell you why. You see, if you do business for yourself, and if you do business for yourself, for enriching yourself, you just want to be rich, you want to have money, you want your children to go to the best schools. I always think, as long as I tell my wife that I don't have money, I'm actually not rich, and I don't have much money. But I feel that if my sole purpose in this life is to make money to feed myself, my family, and send Femi to school, and maybe if I ever, it's a very small thing. It is something that it's not even difficult to achieve. But we Africans have made it our sole aim in life. Businesses are done, or are grown, or are developed just so we can feed our family, just so I can, feed my. But if that is why you do business, then there's no point to keep record. But what happens when you die? What happened to the business? Do you know how many businesses have so died? And do you know how many of these people's children could not find where to work in this country and have had to leave? And when we think about why people are leaving Nigeria, why Nigeria is not so good, I give it to you. That one of the major reasons is what? Record keeping. Let's bring it home to our church. Do you know that when we struggle and we say, our church is this, our church does not have money, our church this thing, one of the major reasons why this thing happened to us is what? Record keeping. Because we forget that the idea of keeping record or of writing things down, it is not only just human, it is godly. God himself ensured that proper records of these things were taken. Sometimes in the Bible, you see names of people, we don't even know this name. You wonder, why did they write this name? They say, this is the trajectory of this one, and this one born this, but we don't even always know these names. But they are there. Because it is important to God that we keep record. And when humans forget these things, we don't live for so long. And the funny thing is that in a few years' time, we'll all be gone. It's a truth. People were here some years back, or maybe in this world, and they are gone. And the interesting part is that we leave more people than we met. When we came to Earth, we will leave more people on Earth than we met. So it means that even as we are passing by, we are leaving more population behind. And the necessity to even pass more information. And so, this is an empowerment Sabbath. And the empowerment is this. I am giving it to you that if you are not keeping record in your business, and you think it is good, it is because you are doing business for yourself and your family. And when you die, the business will what? It will die. And the interesting part is that when you see big businesses, there's so much more a man can eat. I mean, I can tell you there's so much more I can eat. I mean, now that I can't even eat sugar, that I don't eat sugar and all that. That you should practice. It is not worldly. It is not what we currently have here. But to say we have kept those standards, the world will come and learn from us. You know, when we were doing praise and worship earlier, me and Deacon Dada were talking about our hymns. If we had sang our hymns, if we had done these things properly, do you know that the likes of Dusin Oyekon, all these popular musicians, will come and learn from us? Have you ever seen people who desire passionately for God? Have you seen how all these pastors talk about God on their Instagram? Have you sometimes wondered if they had the truth? Have you sometimes wondered if they knew about the three angels' messages? Have you ever wondered if they understand the truth about Sabbath? How would they have presented it? But, you know, all these things, like I said, they are all in our church. Maybe because we have the truth, we have become lackadaisical. We have, you know, we just do it. Let's just try. So each wise, God gave her the mission. Write these things down. And I'm trying to tell you that even the publishing ministry of Adventist Church was inspired. You know, when God inspired the publishing ministry, it was not the age of scroll, of writing, it was the age of typing. And what did they do? They typed this down. And like I told you, if God was to minister to us today and tell us what we do, He will tell us, pick up your phone, pick up your computer and type them down and ensure they are backed or they are backed up. You have them on cloud. So that even if you are no longer here, the people that will survive you will log into it. They say, see what our daddy, see what, they will know what we represent. Somehow, some way, we forget to tell the stories like our parents did. And we do not only forget to tell it with mouth, we forget to write it down. And so, where I am going with today is I am not only just telling you to document, I am here to tell you that there are tools that help you to do your business. There is social media, that's even small. There's a lot of tools you can develop. There are even some are even free that helps you to do CRM, customer relationship management. There are tools that help you to do HR, human resources. There are tools that help you to do all these things. And it is important that you as a businessman, if you want to prosper in this age and time, if you want to represent the kingdom, if you want to deliver the best services to your clients, not just because they are giving you money, but because you are an ambassador, because in your business you represent the kingdom of God, if you want to fully do these things, In this age and time, it is important. It is almost, I mean, there is just no other way than for you to use these technologies that are available to you. Yes, some of us may have reservations that it's not even Christians that did them. I'm even telling you that it is possible that some of these people that created these technologies did them for ulterior motives. They probably did them to drive you away from God. But do you know that God himself can use these things to change the world? God can use the things that even unbelievers create. And they say, like I told you, the guy that did printing, he went into drinking and he didn't even end his life well. But today, we have copies of the Bible here that God continually uses to his glory. So today, the whole point of where we are saying is I'm imploring us as business people, as people who are coming up with ideas, as people who want to do something significant for themselves, as people who want to impact, who want to create sustainable businesses that will outlive them, businesses that will not only feed your family. You know, let me say this again. I know some people personally that are in the UK that they do security job. I mean security. Let's use them as Lawrence here. I mean I know them personally. They are doing security, and yet in UK they have car. They have dignity of labor. You know, they can come out and say I am a security person because they are being paid well. They can take care of their family, and more so, they can send money to us in Nigeria. You know, aside the fact that they take care of their family there, they send money to Nigeria. Why? Because businesses there do not think of themselves alone. Because the owner of filling station there is not making 90% of the profit and sharing the 10% with the rest. Are we following? If we want to be kingdom business people, and I'm telling myself too, like I'm telling you, because I'm young, and as you are growing, I am growing. I do not even own these businesses yet, and I do not even know how far I will go. No, like most people that come here and they empower us, we are blessed that they tell us from experience. I do not have much of that experience, even more than some people here. A lot of people here are more experienced than I do. But I can tell you, based on what I have seen, that when societies, when group of people exist and cater to needs beyond just their immediate goals, bigger and greater things happen, even for people who do not know God. Now imagine knowing God. Imagine putting God in the center of excellence. It is what Nigeria do not. You see, Nigeria is actually surviving because to some extent we still call the name of God. Even if we don't even follow him. I mean, to some extent, a lot of things still seem to be okay or manageable because, I mean, there's still some elements of God here. Imagine excellence with God. Imagine businesses based on excellence and putting God, putting integrity, putting dignity at the center. Imagine businessmen who think of the families of their security guard, who thinks just as my children will have to go to school, the security guy will what? Will send his children to school. Who think about the guy that's washing plates in your restaurants, that even though he's washing plates in my restaurants, he is human just as I am, and he have the needs that I do. And when we put all these things together as kingdom people, as people who know God, I believe that God will prosper and bless our businesses. But to do these things, like I said, one of the major things we have left behind is documentation. Civilizations have gone beyond this. You see, civilizations have gone beyond these things we are talking about. They don't really even tell businesses anymore in some places that they should document. They don't tell a startup that start writing things. They don't tell anybody because it is known. It is a normal and regular thing. But we are still at this point in Nigeria, and it makes it difficult to deploy AI. You see, one of my friends in the UK called me. He was asking me that, can he do research on a software that will automatically pay the staff their salary, pay them their allowances. The system will deduct time allowances and pay them. Can we do a software like that? And he was asking me. And the interesting thing is that it is not even a new software. You know, you can just be here. At the end of the month, you don't even have to punch any paper. You don't even have to write anything to your bank. And all the salaries are paid. People are paid their salary. You get all these things. These are automated because the computerization came first. Because they first recorded all this salary. We are not even there yet. And there's a lot of things that can help us. Now, why is it important? Because when we do business well, when we are able to computerize and all that, we'll have more time to spend together. Why we are actually here is because we want to socialize with ourselves. Parents want to spend more time with their children. We want to hang out with our friends. But because there's so much business processes going on, we do not have time for these things. And so, I am imploring us in our little businesses that we try as much as possible to computerize. Now, this brings us to the end of this. I will just quickly go over the application we have created for the church and go over how to use it. So, by God's grace, we created an application that helps us to some extent, computerize the church and automate a few of our processes. And by God's grace, by now, ICT, please, can you start helping me now? By God's grace, by now, we now have a church website, as can be displayed here. And the product of the website is that people can now go online, see our. Please, can you go to the home page? Thank you. Just click on the HOC at the top. HOC, the logo of the church. All right, thank you. So, from here, we have developed a website like this. Sorry, can you help me go to sda.com.ng? What we actually are envisioning is not just for HOC. We want to have a system that covers the whole Adventist family. That as an Adventist, you can log in on your phone to be a member. You can have access to our resources. And that is why this sda.com. Can you scroll down? So for churches who are there already, what will happen is that churches that are using this will have this. And someone that goes to sda.com.ng will be able to see all of our churches, whether worldwide or in Nigeria. Now, when you click on the particular church, can you now click on the particular church, that's the HOC, it takes you to our church website. Now, for us to log in as members, on last Saturday, I said we should try to register. To register, we'll go to, please click on join us for registration. I said, so if you go to sda.com.ng/HOC, I'll share it on the ground. I would like that we register from here on, because this is the system we will be using from now on to implement some of our processes in the church. So when you come to join us, you should fill this form. If you don't want to share your date of birth, it is not compulsory. You just share the ones that are important. But if it is good that you share, because we like to have your data. But once you share this and you sign up, the admin of the church will approve your login. Once you approve, your login is approved, it will move us to the next phase. From SDA. This point. Now let's go to SDA.com. That's the one I want us to go, so we can all install the application on our phone. Please go to sda.com.ng/login. All right. No, just log out to bring it up. The next one, no, the next column to your right. Use that. Yeah. Thank you. All right. So from here, there is something like install. If you go to sda.com.ng/login on your phone, you will see an install under. Can you kindly install the application? If you are using an iOS, you will need to add to home screen. But if you are using Android, you'll be able to install. But if you are using an iOS, you add to home screen. And then you have the application on your phone. So once you have the application on your phone, you'll be able to log in with what you have registered. What you've registered, if you registered last week, you've all been approved. So it means you can already log in. But if you did not register last week, you need to register now, and then you'll be approved. So once you are approved, from this application, you can log in with that. Now, can you please log in with your own details? Okay, so from here, if you can see the screen where if you log in on your phone, so if you've done this, you'll be able to see that. Let's start from let's start from tithe and offering. All right, so this way, now in this church, we've tried to introduce the idea of tithe card. And some people say it is best that we pay anonymously. And on this system, you can also do that. However, it is important that we keep record of all the money coming in. And you want you to help us to do that. How you help us to do that is this. If you pay your tithe, for instance, let's say you give your tithe on this platform. The moment you do, and the treasurer confirms that it has been paid, it has been recorded into the church's record. So instead of you having to send me the account, the receipt, the invoice, and all that, and I still need to go and look for one paper and write it down. Once you pay and you record it here, so even if you forget the account number, the account number is there. You can just copy. You can select the given category. Can you scroll down? You can select the given category. Please click on the choose of given category. Yes, thank you. So the church will do all the payment, all the things we are giving into. Now let's say there are instances where we are giving to special purposes. Maybe there's something we want to give to and we are imploring, please give to it. The category will be selected there, and you can select what this money is being given to. So once you do that giving and you do it and you put it there, it is automatically recorded in the church. So what we are trying to do is the idea that we record all the money coming in. We're not just talking about tithes and offering alone. We're talking about all the money that comes here should have to be recorded. So, and that is what that platform is for. So when you log in, the pay tithe, and now welcome to my giving history. So my giving history will show you what the history of your giving is. So from there you can see how much you have been giving, how much you gave last year, how much you gave the year before, last week, last month. It gives you all that on your phone. Now let's come to my Bible study plans. Thank you. So on this platform, we can study the Bible together, even when we are not here. Bible studies can be posted here. When they are posted here, you can study at your convenience. I can study at my convenience, and I can ask questions if necessary on the platform. Now, why does WhatsApp not do this for us? Because we do a lot of things on WhatsApp. On our WhatsApp platform, there's so many information passing by. By the time you come back, this one has gone. WhatsApp is made for good purposes, but sometimes it does not cover for all these processes. And that is why we are developing these systems to do that. So from the Bible study, when they are posted, you can open them, you can study, you can comment, and you can ask questions. We can create a whole thread of conversation on that. People can reply, they can respond, and we can study together online as a church through our mobile phones. So we come to daily devotional. So eventually our pastor posts devotionals every day. From here, you get devotionals daily from the church. Let's keep going. Let's go to prayer and testimonies. There's an aspect there where you can post your prayers, you can post and you can post anonymously. If there are prayer requests you don't want people to know, it is you that have posted them. There's a column there you can click and say, I don't want people to know it is me. So when it is posted, it does not post with your name. And you can share your prayer requests, you can share your testimony. But now, to go back to what I was saying, why are all these things important? Because in this age and time, in this time we live in, these things are now more important. The time we even spend on Instagram and all that, a little of that can be devoted to our church application. I mean, I hope it is. But we are saying that it is because we have not developed our own stuff that we have all come to live on their own things. You know, as time is passing by, we do not have a choice. If you want to stay there, maybe you go, even if you go back to Ipoti, you will still need to move with time. But some people continue to leverage time to develop things that distract us from God. And we that you develop things that bring us to God, we keep saying, it's for them. And at the end of the day, we realize that we are seriously lagging behind, as I've said. So we can pray. Yeah, let's move forward to small groups. So in this platform, all the groups will be created. All the family units are created. You will be added to your family, and you can become that. So in your group too, in your smaller groups, you can have your meetings that you normally do. You can have things that maybe there are things you want to keep as record between your church group, between the ministries, between the praise team and all that. It can be done there. Now let's move down to volunteer. I mean, where are we? Yeah, volunteer roles. So like the blood transfusion we did the other time, and we had to do volunteering paper. From here, when we need to do volunteer programs in the church, people can sign up and can join from this platform. So if we go down, so the other media part, we don't need to go through all that. The video, the sermon library, so as our libraries, as our sermons are posted and all, they are here and we can access them. Basically, please scroll down. All right, let's go to family life. I think that's where we should. Okay, so now, do you know the interesting thing? Is that right now we don't know how many families are in this church. This church, I cannot tell you how many families we have in this church. And I am sure, I'm almost confident, even our pastor cannot tell you. Why? Because there's no record of it anyway. How can we take care of family? How can we have a good family life? We don't have records of family. And that is why we do these things. So here, there's a family life. Your family trees can be connected. Elder Akitude can add up his wife and say, this is my wife, and can add up his kids if they are on the platform. And by logging in, pastors can know how many families we have in this church without even having to keep any record. So like I'm saying, on our apps, it's actually quite, self-explanatory. It's an application that you can just stumble on by yourself and figure out how it is done. I want to implore us from now on that we are starting a new month from few days to come, and we want our tithe and offering, the money that comes, especially the ones that are done online. You know, there was a time when tithe and offering were given in the church. When we passed this paper, these things, but people would give their tithe and offering in envelopes and drop it. And it was easier then for the treasurer to sit back at the end of the service and calculate all of them, because that is tithe and offering. But if I tell you, that the tithe we collect here, the percentage to our general tithe, even you will be shocked. Most of the tithe of our members here are not being paid with these ones we are passing around. So even if we keep record of these ones, we are not keeping any record, so to speak. So, but when we now use this system, it helps us that all of these things are documented. So let's start with that. Our tithes and offering, or any money we are giving to the church, let's ensure to record them on the pay tithe and offering portal. You select the category you are paying into, if it's church developmental fee. And if you are paying a lot of them, you can put all of them in that category. It is there. You can add new, pay tithe 50,000, pay this one 10,000. It will add up together for you automatically, and then the record can be auto-computed. We would like that we serve as an example of excellence. This is a church of champions. We are champions, and we should lead by example. The idea is that we want to be the pioneer. We want to show the rest of Adventist family that this is how it should be done. This is what should happen now, so that we can take care of ourselves more, so that we can be more of ourselves brethren. You see, there's a lot of things we are lagging behind. There's a resource library there. There's a resource library here where some of our books will be posted. Books that you may not have or you have not even seen before will be here. You'll be able to access books. You'll be able to have access to books that so the idea of this thing should have existed long before now. We as Adventists should have access to all our resources, and as a local church, we want to make that happen. That's from here you can access all that. So like I said, as members of this church, as members only, you can use that to join us to log in. Because if you are not now a member and you don't want to join, the URL, the website is for you. All the information displayed here are also displayed for people outside. When people come to our website, they will see our Bible study, they will see our devotions, they will see our announcements. So when people go to our website, if you go to our website alone, you so when announcements are passed now, when you do this application and you allow it to notify you, it will notify you of announcements that are posted. When they post announcements, your phone will tell you. So instead of the WhatsApp, because WhatsApp message you just pile up, you don't even know that one announcement was posted. But from here, we will be able to keep track of the announcement of all the things that are happening in the church. And like I said, if there are user feedbacks, as you use it, if there are things you think can be done better or can be improved on, we are open to listening and making it better. The whole idea, like we've said with this empowerment, is much more than we are using something like this for the church. Use something like this for your business. I understand that yes, you have your clients, they are paying you, they are giving you money, and you are happy. But do business better than that, because God will bless you even more when your business caters to the needs of others. When your business begins to feed other families, you realize how much you can grow. And for this to happen in this age and time, you need to computerize. You need to digitize your processes so that people that are working from you from different places can log in the way we are logging in here as members and can access what they should access. In this platform, as members, you will not see the records of other people's tithes. You will not see the records of other people's, because some other people have access to them. I'm just trying to tell you what computerization can do. If you are using file or paper now, you cannot cover some part and say, don't show him that part, or show him only this part. No. But with computerization, we've been able to even keep information separate. So you can say, for this set of people in my business, this is what they should see. For this set of people in my business, this is what they should see. This set of people should see this. And eventually, people who don't have access to some information will still not have access to it. From this platform, if you log in now, you realize that you don't have access to the church records because it is not for you to see. So it is so in computerization. So I want to end this empowerment. I'm actually supposed to take questions. We can take questions, right? Okay, let's take maybe 5 minutes for questions. So if there are questions or comments, brief questions or comments on what we've talked about in your business or in the church application or in any of these things. Questions or comments?
Thank you very much for the information. My question is very simple. You've basically addressed business owners. What about people who don't have businesses? I don't have a business. I don't think I can be an entrepreneur. I don't think I can, because I cannot chase anybody for money. So what about those people? Because this has been about business owners. Exactly. So I feel kind of lost.
Thank you for that. like I said, I was always trying to keep to time. I actually thought of that, and it was supposed to be part of we discuss. You know, and that is one of the reasons why I use my mom. Like I said, it is human nature to share information, to tell people who you are, and it's important that you keep record of even your personality in this age and time. It is important that you record things down. So yes, as people who may not be doing business, there are other processes within your life that needs recording. People need to know what is what in your life. When you're, all right, because when you are no longer there, or even if you are there, you need to keep, and there are actually a lot of applications that help you. I'll use one for example. There's an application on Google Keep Notes. I don't know if you know that today, but there's a Keep Notes application on Google. I've been using it for maybe like even 10 years now. Google Keep Notes helps you to keep anything, and once you keep it, once you write it on your phone, like the moment you write it and you connect to internet, even if they steal your phone, that's it. When you come back and log in, you have your record there. I've been using Google Keep Notes for many years, and the records I kept on those devices, I still have them now. If I were to leave my phone there and I want to even access what is written there on this my tab, it's already there. So what I'm saying is there are applications like Google Keep Notes, like even Microsoft Word. There's a way you can use your Microsoft Word to synchronize that whenever you log into Microsoft account, you have all the details of everything you have written down. So yes, there are applications out there. Especially for people who are not doing business, they are all free. If it's not a business application, most of them are free, and you can use them as you like. So if you are not doing business, and even if you are doing business, you can still use these tools. See the point where you can pay for something, but you can use Keep Notes to keep records of what you are doing. Like it's a private, you can record your voice notes there. I think you can even do calculation. You can create table, you can input, insert images. These are there to keep our memories. So yes, let's record our moments. And the pictures we take, Google Drive gives about 15 gig to keep your pictures. Pictures that you are taking now, like our wedding pictures for instance, I have it almost everywhere I go to. I mean, there was a time when you have to come to my house to see our wedding pictures. But now I can show you all of our wedding pictures here on my phone. Why? Because I back them up on Google. And if I lose this phone and I get another phone, I will still have them. So what we are saying is the idea of passing information, of transmitting knowledge is even much more better. That if those historic people have had access, you'll be amazed what they will do with it. Because they needed it. And we even have them at our begs and call. Now there are different ones out there. And I want to implore us, business owners, people who are not doing business, civil servants, wherever you work, keep details of your life. And let's pass it on to newer generations. The newer generations will not have, or will not have access to it. You know, this transformative thing. I mean, most of us know this thing. When I say transformative, I know a lot of people here would have been told in their house. When maybe I go to I don't know if they told, but you know, back then it's a normal thing. When you want to misbehave, when you get to a place you want to misbehave, it has a way of coming back to you. When I can't do that, even though they are doing it. But I know I'm from Ikoti. If they catch me in Lagos, maybe they raid. You know, when I was describing to think, if police should catch me and take me somewhere, maybe I've got like 15 weeks or even a lot of time before anybody even realized that I was missing. So, wrote to document so that our children, people who come after us, can have access and know what our lives are about. Are there any other question or contribution? All right. So, in all, let's depend on God for all things. There is nothing is by our power. It is God who gives wealth. It is God who blesses. And I want to pray that as we do our best, all these are just for us to do our best. As we do our best, let's continually trust and depend in God. It is because of our absolute reliance on God that He will prosper and bless us. Let us quickly have a word of prayer. Our Father in heaven, we thank you because you are here with us today. We thank you because from prehistoric time, you have taught us to document, to write things that are important to us down, so that other people may see, and even when we are long gone, people will have access to these things that we have written down. We pray, Heavenly Father, that you help us to be better. We pray that you will instill the spirit of excellence in us. And as we are champions, we shall continually be champions. And your spirit, your grace shall continually abide with us. For we pray in Jesus' mighty name. Happy Sabbath.